Oh, and we're live. Hello, folks. Welcome to a Friday edition of Earworms. We are basically trying it out, seeing if Friday night's going to work out, especially as a night, at least so far, to share some of our musical interests, some of the albums and artists that we've appreciated for so long. And, right now I'm looking for clicking on the right thing. Still getting used to using StreamYard again. Been using EV for such a long time that I'm just not used to it. Tonight we were all sitting there for like 10 minutes, not hearing each other, wondering why. And it's simply because I didn't have us on stage. EV you can hear each other even when you're not on stage. So, got to get used to it. Well, anyway, tonight got a few guests, and we're going to be talking about the album Selling England by the Pound by Genesis, straight from the mid-'70s, folks, and probably what a lot of people, and I would agree, would be probably one of their top, or if not the top lineup that they had, with Peter on vocals, flute, some percussion, and various other things. Phil Collins on drums, Steve Hackett on guitar, Mike Rutherford also on guitar, but also holding down the bass, and Tony Banks on the keyboards. But it's a little more complicated than that, and we'll see that when we look at some slides here. But I've done enough droning on. Let's introduce the folks. Here we are, back from the great state of Ohio. We have a mountain hawk has landed in Tennessee.
Yes, I have.
Hey.
What's
So,
happening?
you at least sound good tonight. StreamYard is so far working out for you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I got my avatar in and all that jazz. So,
Yep, we used it for a bit, but last autumn they made things really expensive, and then this autumn they had a Black Friday deal, so I'm good for a year.
oh, there you go. Well,
Yep.
I got on. I didn't really have any problem getting on, so that's good.
Awesome beans.
So,
This
ready to
lady,
talk?
well, the only problems were my fault. I had us all sitting there muted, trying to talk to each other.
Well, that
wondering
was
why
a
we
little
didn't hear
weird.
each other.
Yeah.
It's an awkward moment. Anyway, let's bring on the lady. Is this the lady, or is it? No, that's not a woman. Oh man, hold on here. There she is.
Oh man.
Sorry, accuracy is not my thing.
Yeah, we know.
Well,
All right.
Well.
We can tell that Friday is going to be one of those days. Who do we have so far? Yeah, Scott is in our chat. Lovely to see you, Scott. Yes. Always a regular.
Fun.
And I might as well pay homage to Scott while he's there.
Eat my shorts.
He doesn't want to hear any of it. So anyway, from Scott to Istophobos. Here we go. Here's a change of pace.
One rabbit suit coming right up.
Jesus Christ! I warned you.
And then there were 4.
Yeah, I guess you don't get that message when we're backstage. There's a big thing saying nobody can see you or hear you. But I guess on your screen, you
No.
didn't get that, so you didn't realize.
No, because I'm supposed to know what I'm doing as the person hosting the stream.
Well, you fooled them, huh?
Yes, I got one past StreamYard there. I have no idea what I'm doing. All right. So anyway, this came as a change of decision. I've been wanting to do some albums for a while now, and Genesis especially, after checking them out when looking into Phil Collins as a feature and wanting to focus on his drumming skills. We covered some Genesis albums, and this is definitely one of them, but also The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway is another album that intrigues me. But when I suggested the idea, yourself there, Istophobos, recommended maybe this album because there's a bit of castration in The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. And so we went with Selling England by the Pound. Yes.
Yeah, it's thematically much less weird. And lies down on Broadway, and
Well, I do a lot of the listening to the music and stuff, and sometimes lyrics can pass over me on some things, especially if I have to make an effort to read them to find out what's going on. But but both albums have very good music instrumentally speaking as well. And so, both are worthy, but tonight it will be Selling England by the Pound. And I'm going to see right now if I can get my slides up, but does anybody have any special memories or thoughts on this album that they'd like to start off with before I bring up the slides?
It's a great album. I would have liked to have seen it.
yeah, it's a weird. It's got like 4 10-minute songs and then 4 like 4-minute or less songs on it. It's very
I was reading about that. There were some arguments over cutting out some of them songs and making them shorter. This album actually was a kind of the beginning of the end for a couple members.
Yeah. Was it Steve
Yeah.
Hackett's last or second to last? I don't remember.
I think he was still on The Lamb Lies Down, but it was he has the instrumental on there, and Peter Gabriel didn't want the instrumental on there.
Oh yeah.
And he got Tony Banks to side with him because Peter Gabriel wanted to cut out an ending. I think it was Cinema Show, where there's the keyboard solo at the end. He wanted to cut it out. So Steve Hackett backed him on his solo, and he backed him. And so, it was kind of the beginning of the end, even though they didn't want to do another album. But
well, they still had 5 more albums until we get to, and then there were 3 in 1978, which I guess is the
Well, yeah, that's when, I guess a second one even left. But Genesis had always been a little bit of a rotating lineup. I wouldn't say album to album, but, already by this point they had maybe 2 previous drummers and some guitarists before Hackett even.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when exactly when I guess Gabriel was the first major loss of a member, right? And that
I guess major, but like I said,
Gabriel
there was
left after Lamb Lies Down because then they had a Trick of the Tail.
Yeah. But
Hackett stayed for a couple more, and then
Right.
3.
Right, and then there were 3 as Banks, Rutherford, and Collins were the
Right.
ones that were
Yeah.
left.
yeah, the
78,
80s lineup. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's when it kind of went more commercial, but
Yeah, Gabriel wasn't on Spot the Pigeon. Was he on Wind and Wuthering?
no.
Okay.
Wind and Wuthering was after Trick of the Tail.
Yeah, and that was his last.
The last one was Lamb Lies Down. Trick of the Tail was Phil Collins.
Okay, so that was yeah. Right. So Lamb was his last, and then it was
That was
Collins,
it, yeah.
Hackett, Rutherford, and Banks. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
they
Hackett stuck around for a couple more.
they went through many members, but like the main solid lineup were those five, I guess.
Yeah.
And that was certainly when Gabriel left, that sort of ended their period of real experimentation, I guess, and they
Trick of
slowly
the Tail
became more-
was
Trick of the Tail
was
is good. Yeah.
I think the main thing is it was more than Peter leaving. It was probably just what they decided to do in the 80s, I guess. I mean, you listen to it, the playing is still good. There's still great musicians. It's just the subject matter's changed maybe a little bit. I mean, there are still some good songs, like Land of Confusion is a good song, and I dig it, even though it's right from that album, the hub of, I guess, what we'd call the 80s sound in Invisible Touch, which unfortunately had a single that was quite commercial compared to the rest.
Yeah, you lost a lot of the virtuosity on the instruments and that sort of driven progressive rock era of the 70s just sort of melted away to a more processed sound.
Yep.
Especially on the drums. Every album it was sort of thicker and more electronic sounding. But not on this one.
The homage to classical music and, shall we say, art music, Western art music, kind of went in the 80s as well. So I do have, for our audience, I do have a link to the album on YouTube Music. Usually when I play using a computer, the web browser on the computer, and I play things on YouTube Music, I usually don't get ads. So I have that pinned on the top of the chat. The link there, if you open up that pinned comment, will take you straight to YouTube Music, so you could hear a little bit as we go. And we're going to be talking about them like in basic song order here on the slides, but you can listen as we go, as long as you don't lose us in the process. All right, so here are my magic slides. Album cover. Pretty interesting artwork there. Some classic 70s artwork, I believe. And here's apparently the lineup at that time. I did my research and hopefully I got it right, because things can be easily mislabeled these days. But even looking at this, I'm pretty sure the second in from the left is Phil. But it's hard to recognize everybody else. It's hard to recognize anybody else, really.
Peter Gabriel's in the middle.
Yeah.
I believe,
but
Mike
he doesn't
Rutherford's
smile
right
so much, so it's weird.
I think it's Hackett, Collins, Gabriel, Rutherford behind him, and Tony Banks. No, Tony Banks is on the left. Sorry. It's
Hackett, Banks, Hackett.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
they all look the same. They're all long-haired weirdos.
Yeah, I think that's Rutherford on the end, but man, they were, a lot younger than when I was seeing them. So
yeah. Phil had lost his hair by the time I saw him.
Well, at this time,
and that was like, I think 79 or 80.
Well, this
I
album,
saw them as they were crossing over to the pop era.
Okay. Well,
they were
that was only a few years later. You think about it, all this happens fast. There I have the credits. But yeah, the album was released, I believe, 75, 76. Let me double check
No,
that.
this is 73.
73.
Oh,
this album.
73.
Right.
Oh,
But the
okay.
thing is, this is back when they worked, man. They put out an album a year pretty much.
Yeah.
Like look at how the Beatles used to do it. They were cranking them out. By 20 years later, people were, 3, 4, 5 years between albums. But
Well, it's all different now. Back then, it was about they were touring to sell the albums. Now they
right.
don't make shit off it's all streamed. So
Yeah, they tour to make money. So they would put out an album, run the support tour, go back in the studio and crank out another album.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yep. Things have changed a lot, folks. We used to go out and buy our music.
Yeah, the reception of this album is pretty mixed, even amongst the band members. But this is one that sort of has, over time, really sort of outshone its brethren in sales and popularity.
Yeah, well, it was their first commercial success.
Yeah, it's a fairly perennial album. But I have to be honest, for me, this is 90% a one-song album for me. And the single, I Know What I Like, that is not the song that gets me on this one.
You know what you like, and it's not that.
Yeah, well, we're going to get on to the subject here. I've switched out my avatar a little bit, so I don't wear down our audience with my face. So anyway, here's the credits. And the thing that's really interesting is how they're not really just one instrument or one role people. And from song to song, it could change, especially with Rutherford and Hackett both being able to play guitar. But yeah, Gabriel's pretty much lead vocals, except for one song. Phil Collins actually did sing one song on this album, and that's coming up. And so I guess there was precedence of him singing before Peter Gabriel left the band. So,
yeah, when you brought up when you were introducing this and you said Peter Gabriel on vocals, and I'm like, and anything else that he wants to do, because
yeah,
he played a number of woodwinds, and he wrote lyrics, and I think he could pretty much play whatever he wanted to.
Yep. But it's mostly listed as flute, percussion, and vocals here. But yeah, he dabbled in a variety of things. And I think this was not long before he got into the electronics as well.
Yeah, on my album, it says flute, oboe, and percussion.
Oboe.
And note the electric sitar.
Yes. Tony Banks does many of the keyboards, especially the piano, organ, and there's a Mellotron, as well as an ARP Soloist on this. The ARP Pro Soloist synthesizer, as listed there, I think was the second one that ARP made. Their first was really more of something for production houses, a big synth that had drawbars. We covered the origins of ARP on Earworms several episodes back, and I remember those metal drawbars for patching, but it was not something you'd take on the road. But their ARP Soloist was their first big gigging musicians synth, and it had a more straightforward and traditional patching system, but also would make a sound without any patches being put in. So you didn't have to worry about taking it out of the box and forgetting to make a patch before trying it out.
Yeah, and this was the era. It was pretty trendy for everyone to maximize the amount of instruments that it looked like they played. So much later on, it got real minimal, strings or guitars or whatever. But this is, I recall seeing some album credits. It's like 44 key Mellotron, 66 key Mellotron, 88 key.
Yeah,
It was like
you
they
don't
were
need,
padding out a resume.
yeah, you didn't need to do that. Mellotron is enough. Mellotron. There you go.
Yeah,
But we also did that on Earworms. Mellotron was used by a lot of artists at the time. And, of course, there's some famous sounds from it and from
Zeppelin
some
was
songs.
Zeppelin was the big one that
Hmm.
popularized that. But even so, with all those are all keyboard-based instruments, and I think starting in the late '80s, you would just see keyboards and just assume it was a wide variety of synthesized.
Well, the
And
kind you could have a keyboard that did a wide variety of stuff. You could just say keyboard because that thing was probably doing your organ. It was probably doing your piano. It was probably doing your string pads, that all of it, where at this point they were thought of as individual things. An organ, like a Hammond, is a Hammond, and Mellotron's a Mellotron. All these things are kind of separate until you had something that was doing a better job of integrating them all together. That kind of started with the what do you call that? The Fairlight. We looked at that in Earworms, where it was the early sampler, and one that actually deserves the term because it really did work as a pretty good functioning sampler, and that's what its purpose was. But
Well,
that's a little later, just a little.
yeah, I have some albums where the drummer names the individual drums, like plays the snare, the bass drum, the 13-inch tom, the 14-inch tom, the gong, the timpani, the
Yeah,
timbre.
but you got to consider back then we didn't have Google to look all this shit up, so you were relying on the album cover to tell you the information. You just didn't have all. Now you can just look all this crap up. Like I just looked up what song does he play that sitar on. I know what I like.
And the liner notes, which
you had the liner notes. Now most people don't give a shit, or they can look it up on Google if they do.
Well, so much of the music today went that route where it's so much in the box where, all you'd be doing is listing VST plugins or things like that. And, is that worth it in the case? But let's get on to the music.
And the AI, you snuck AI in, didn't you?
Well, there we are. That's Dancing with the Moonlight Knight. It kind of looks believable, although the whole aesthetics of this album, or kind of like one of the themes, is primarily the commercialism they felt was coming to England, and I guess really the UK as a whole at the time, that they felt was, or at least Peter, he seemed to be the driving force behind the meaning to the album. And it was American commercialism, they felt. Yes. Basically the American style of business, the American style of marketing, maybe distribution and other things were kind of, taking over. Although, wasn't it the Brits that, oh, no, that's right. Never mind. I'm going to erase it before I even say it. Well, but anyway,
they had a number of themes on the album, one of which was the loss of English folk culture and increased American influence overall, which is funny because I wondered today, they would probably take American influence over the influence they're getting now. And, it wasn't just the commercialism. They were filming, much like J.R.R. Tolkien, the loss of the British UK pastoral ideal, the loss of British folk culture, the commercialization and industrialization of the countryside, that sort of thing. But again, even the band themselves had mixed feelings. I've heard Banks and Rutherford say some horrible things about my favorite song during various parts of their career, although I haven't heard him say anything recently. But for me, we all know the song I'm talking about is Firth of Fifth. It's an absolute masterpiece. From the first moment I heard it, I was just completely, absorbed by it, and have listened to it thousands of times over the course of my life.
Yeah. And that, of course, is coming up in the program. But this first song pretty much begins with that whole theme of the commercialism taking over. And, with some of the quotes here that I have on screen. And what is this? Chewing through your wimpy dreams. And these are things that are also the time period, because in that time period in the mid-70s, there was the Wimpy cheeseburger chain that got established in the UK. And nothing says American commercialism's quite unlike fast food, especially the burger.
We never got wimpy here. So
no, well, we had enough stuff
You're not
anyway.
missing anything.
I mean, there's so many different ones. Imagine that, it's just ridiculous how many there are, and they're not very good, first of all. But
is he talking about green stamps when he references Knights of the Green Shield, Stamp and Shout, or is that something else?
I believe it is. It's about like a coupon-based reward system.
Oh, that's green stamps.
Yep. There you go.
You're old enough to remember. Man.
Yeah, I vaguely remembered that too.
Oh, I remember.
Ahead.
you would have these books with like 10 to 20 pages and these tiny little green stamps about like a centimeter on a side, and you just you get them whenever you bought something. You plaster every page with the stamps, and then go to the next page and fill these books. And it's basically proto Camel Cash or Marlboro Miles.
Yeah.
But what store was it associated with? I forget.
Was it H&H?
I vaguely remember seeing them, but that was in the earlier part of my childhood. I think it phased out.
It was S&H, the Sperry and Hutchinson.
Oh,
company.
yeah. I remember it was a
But,
something and something.
Yeah, but it was it was a lot of different retailers. There were A&P grocery stores, gas stations, pharmacies, department stores. A lot of different retail outlets used them, but the company program, it was S&H green stamps. Yeah, not H&H. S&H, and then they would, I guess, sign agreements with various retailers to join the program. So,
yeah, I can't let this play on my computer, because if I do it, then, oh, wait a minute, maybe I can. Maybe I could have just one browser tab play it. But yeah, there is the Banks ARP Soloist solo in this, the synth solo. Oh,
okay.
Incidentally, if there's anybody joining us that is not aware of how hard YouTube comes down on copyright and everything, that's why we're not playing the music. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I've watched enough streams, you have to share the tab individually if you want to be able to hear the audio.
Oh, I don't want to hear it. I just want to hear it myself.
Oh, okay.
Just to remind me as we go. Yeah, I can't risk playing this stuff, because there's sometimes it even just prevents you from making the stream public until it's all cut out.
Yeah.
And that disrupts everything. I think, it'll work fine for our audience to have the album clip, pinned at the top. You can hear some stuff as we go. And
you can't even play really short bits. It's ridiculous.
Well, in music, it's rough to play really short bits. But this solo at the beginning, the solo voice, the a cappella voice, is really cool. It's got that British Isle flair.
So what do you think they're referring to when this says Old Father Tim's is drowning? I know Old Father Thames was the I was gonna say Celtic or the Gaelic god of the River Thames.
Mhm.
What was he drowning in? I'm assuming it's not water. Was it debt or
Who knows?
sewage? I mean, I know there was a time when like the Thames was so polluted it was essentially a sewer, but I thought that was like around the 50s.
Well, it's probably the most famous river in England, you know, and I think it was a matter of, knowing that it was named after, I guess, an ancient British or was it Celtic deity? I don't know. But at the same time, just using the words drowning in it being a river gives it some sort of poetic device there. It's Peter
Okay,
Gabriel coming up with stuff, really.
yeah, I was a little bit late. So it was actually called the Great Stink of 1858.
Hmm.
When centuries of raw sewage and industrial waste combined with an unusually hot summer turned the river into an unbearable disease-ridden open sewer, leading to the cholera epidemics and prompting the construction of London's modern sewer system. So
Wow.
while the mid 19th century was the peak of this, untreated sewage continued to be dumped into the river until the late 20th century. So,
So, Mike, this first song, at least, I was listening to it a bit there, and one of the things that stood out to me was a motif that I kept hearing the whole week after, really kind of like listening to this album 3 times in a row, trying to get
Uh-huh.
some things down. And it's that that guitar motif that
Uh-huh.
just stuck in my head, and it was always there. Like, as a guitarist, where does Steve Hackett kind of rank as far as guitarists are concerned?
Oh my gosh. I gave up ranking guitarists a long damn
I
time
know
ago.
it's unfair to say that, but
I mean,
still, you have different views out there on different guitars, but
well,
there
I
always
rank
seems
them
to
as
be like
either,
a general
great
idea
or
of.
good,
Hmm.
because I mean, to me, it's like, and I also look at, and this is where he would fit in. I look at, you know, there's a lot of people that can play other people's stuff better than I, but nonetheless, the person who created it, it takes something to create music. And obviously he created a lot of great music. So in that vein, it's like, David Gilmour.
Hmm.
Early on in the, he was interviewed, early in his career, and he said, "I'm not a fast guitarist, so I
Yeah.
developed my own style," and that he did. So you know, is he a great guitarist? I think so. Is he
Hmm.
number one? Probably not, but
Yeah, I hate to ask questions like that, but he was one of those guitarists that I guess you didn't hear being mentioned as much.
no, you don't, because he was in an era where there was, some guys that were much faster, and people are all about that,
Or
fast.
in progressive sound at the time, I guess Steve Howe was,
Oh yeah, yes.
the,
Well, back then back in the late 70s, I would have said Steve Howe was the greatest guitarist, but
mm,
yeah, but amongst
also
the
you have to look at genre too, because
yeah.
Steve Howe is classically trained, obviously, but watch some of them classical guitarists. Holy crap, man. I can't bend my fingers the way they do on an acoustic guitar nonetheless. So,
yeah, the motif you're talking about, it's the one that goes like
oh,
that's
it's
Yep.
a
a
little
great
bit of
song.
classical right there. I mean, I think amongst musicians who knew, I mean, I've never heard anything but massive respect for Steve Hackett. And while
Hmm.
he never formed one of the super groups like a bunch of those guys did in the late 80s, early 90s, I mean, he did. Yeah, I've never heard him spoken with spoken of with anything other than, hushed tones of respect and awe. So,
Yeah, and I'm hearing some of these solos now. This is definitely, I don't know. It sounds like he has some studio guitarist experience. It sounds like he could just pretty much play or jam on most rock songs, and
yeah.
and lay down great tracks.
When he says he's not fast, you have to understand he is, relatively speaking, he's faster than like 99% of the players in the world, but he's looking at himself in relation to, the upcoming, like, we're talking in the world of, virtuoso progressive rock guitarists like Robert Fripp and
Oh my God,
Steve Howe, and so
right.
yeah,
Or even
he's only
just
Now you in the mid '80s, and I thought I remembered this, and I looked it up. Hackett played with Steve Howe in GTR in the mid '80s.
yeah,
So
like
he was in a super group with Steve Howe.
yeah, GTR was that was before Choir. Yeah, I guess it never really took off. I guess not like
Yeah, I mean it's
Asia
not the best
or
thing
Journey.
they ever did, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying those two
But-
together, that alone makes it,
Yeah, what I'm
it's
trying
like
to
how we
say
saw
is,
Asia with Steve Howe, just because
yeah,
it was Steve Howe and Carl Palmer. What the shit? And
by
John
his
Glenn.
measure, Jimmy Page is also a slow guitarist, is what I'm saying. Like, that's what. Yeah, they're not doing
Yeah,
Flight of the Bumblebee.
I
No,
agree.
they're
Jimmy
not.
Page is great, no doubt about it. But yeah,
Mhm.
some people thought, he was the greatest, and I thought, no, I don't.
Yeah. Oh, many people in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah,
But I love Jimmy Page, but if you listen to him
Me
closely, he's pretty sloppy, but there's room for slop in rock, right? And then I listen to someone like Dwayne Allman, and the amount of precision that he has, it just sort of blows me away. So,
Well-
Hackett's up there to answer your questions. And I don't think
Yeah.
anybody who knew anything about music thought otherwise.
It's just there were so many other names that I guess were bigger, because I'm thinking 73 around this time there was also Jimmy Page, you mentioned, probably I think Brian May was around at this time, but wasn't Queen already? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess the thing is, though, he was just his personality. He didn't have a lot of ego. He didn't
Mhm.
jump to the front of the stage and try to wow. There were bigger personalities in Genesis that overshadowed
yeah.
those
Oh,
guys.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, back when I was a teenager, which would be the '70s, I remember my dad. We were talking music one time, and he said, "Michael, you know who the greatest guitar player is?" And I said, "Who's that, Dad?" And he said, "Some guy in a bar that nobody ever heard of."
Huh.
I finally found that guy. His name's Gabriel Marin,
Okay.
which to me is one of the most underrated guitarists out there. But anyway, that's me.
yeah, I used to talk to touring musicians and roadies and people who've been on the road with like all these guys, and when I asked them, who's like the best guitarist you've ever seen, I would often get an unusual but consistent answer, which was George Harrison, believe it or not.
Hmm.
I didn't even think he was the best guitarist in the Beatles, much less the world. But honestly, as I've come to see, I would
Well,
probably
they say the same about Ringo on drums, and I never thought
yeah.
that either. So
Yeah.
George
Yeah,
Harrison had a knack, and my dad said it best back then too. He said he always had a knack for throwing in this little thing that just fit the song beautifully. Now later on, when he went solo, Eric Clapton did all the lead,
yeah.
so he didn't even do lead later on. But he did
Yeah.
have a knack for it. But yeah, was he the fastest? Oh hell no. Was he better than like Fripp or something? Hell no.
Well,
But he was
like-
he was a great writer of songs.
yeah, and there are a million guys that can play guitar for every one guy that can write a good song.
Mm.
And that's really
Oh yeah.
like if you ask Billy Gibbons who the greatest guitarist ever was, he'll tell you Hendrix, because he spent that time just with the man and watching him seeing how his mind works and how he translated that to his fingers, and he was just in complete and utter awe.
Which
at
was
the time.
amazing because, Hendrix didn't really know a lot of music theory. They said he knew a few scales, but he mainly just made shit up, and it happened to sound really great. So he was a massive innovator.
Yeah, he was inhabited by a very special, he was a very special being, I would say. But he just seemed to have like instincts and everything that were just there. And almost like just came from somewhere. And it really elevated his playing.
Yeah, a lot of pedals were invented to sound like him.
Yeah, and there's not a single drummer in the world, not even Neil Peart, that has come up with so many distinguishing, different, custom-made signature beats. Like you can identify any Beatles song just by the drum part. And most even great drummers are still playing essentially, the same rhythms and then fills, and they might get a little fancy, but Ringo was a compositional drummer, and he wrote a distinct part for every single song they did. And that's something that, in my maturity, I've learned to really appreciate and respect.
Yeah, me too.
And he was the hero of Yellow Submarine.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Ringo, he said one of the things he didn't like about playing live was, he said you couldn't hear. So he said, basically all I tried to do was keep a beat. He said, I couldn't really do anything else. You couldn't hear.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That had to be ridiculous for those guys. I mean, I don't blame them for quitting, stopping touring. It was probably a drag. You can't hear yourself. A bunch of girls screaming. I'd love to say I saw the Beatles, don't get me wrong, but I'm glad concerts aren't like that
well,
when I started going.
I guess the sound reinforcement and stuff on stage.
Sound reinforcement is still an issue today.
Oh yeah, it always is. It's an art form, and it changes with every venue you go to. So it's one of those things where you really need time, and making a living in music a lot of times doesn't allow that, or the kind of commercial requirements of the way the tour is happening and all that makes it that you can't have as long as sessions as you need in each environment to really get the sound right. That now they'll have sound geniuses put it all together in an afternoon before the show, but it still is the best that can be done given the amount of time.
Oh yeah.
That they
also had the challenge playing live.
Yeah, and none of these, like a lot of times they may play crowd noise to try and make sure, but the thing is it's never the same, and you really need a crowd in that environment and to be kind of like setting the mix with that already there in the room happening.
It's not just that. They choose venues that are entirely inappropriate for music. And all they can do, the poor sound people, all they can do is excite the audience by blasting the music. And since they know the music, your brain fills in the gaps. But if it's someone who doesn't, who comes in clean without knowing the music, comes in, all they hear is a wash of sound and they leave with tinnitus.
Yeah.
I hate stadium concerts. I dislike them.
That's why so many artists play in these theaters now. Of course, it costs you an arm and a leg to go see them because they're not as big, so they charge crazy amounts of money.
Right.
But that's why you see, some of these older guys, they play in theaters.
Yeah, but they're charging crazy amount. They're charging crazy amounts of money in the stadium
for the
too.
stadium. For the crap sound. It's horrible.
Now I know why Pink Floyd did their live concert in Pompeii with no freaking audience.
Yeah,
they played at a classical Greek amphitheater, or the ruins of one, with no crowd, and it's a really it's a great concert. You can probably watch it online even.
The Grateful Dead didn't learn when they went to the pyramids, did they?
Mm.
They said that was Jerry Garcia once said. He said we blow all the big ones. He said Woodstock, Monterey Pop, the pyramids. He said it sounded like shit, but nobody cared because it was the Grateful Dead playing at the pyramids.
Yeah. It's also like most bands that were ever on Saturday Night Live sounded pretty crappy too. Like,
oh yeah.
It's very rare to hear a musical act on that show.
Well, they started playing, recorded performances. I knew someone who did sound for what was it? Artists like Shaggy and stuff like some of the reggae artists of the early 2000s. And basically, when they were going to appear on Saturday Night Live, they would just record one of the performances and say, okay, that's the one we're using. And it not the video, like the musicians would come out and basically fake it, but along to a recording they made that afternoon.
Okay. Yeah. I went to a show.
Bandstand.
Yeah. I went to a show where a relatively well-known band lip synced to their own freaking album. Like you couldn't tell because you didn't have the thing memorized backwards and forwards. And, I probably paid $60 to go there. I was not a happy camper.
That wouldn't have been ELO, would it?
No, it was Garbage.
Oh,
the band Garbage.
Well, ELO got in trouble for that.
Yeah.
Right,
And
Billy Vanilli.
yeah, it was Garbage at San Jose Stadium. And it was
God.
the freaking album. Yeah.
Oh my God. That would suck.
I'm trying. Wow. I can't remember who opened for him or anyway, it was a long time ago, but I definitely prefer if you're not going to a properly constructed, musical venue, then a small intimate club is the best way. I like to say.
Oh yeah. Well, those are the ones I can afford now.
Yeah, but you have to catch them
like standing by the stage and you can hear the music, you can see the musicians, you can look at their pedals.
Yeah, you have to catch them before they get famous, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a little dive club that I saw Nirvana in for $2. So I'm like, this is never going to happen again.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would have been cool.
Well, here we go.
Was loud.
I know what I like. I guess this is the one that was their first chart single. And called hit. Prog Pop, because it wasn't as progressive as other songs, and it was just the right length for radio and all that stuff, but it still stayed in the theme. It was about Jacob, some gardener guy that didn't listen to other people's thoughts about how he should dress or present himself. Yay.
The funny thing is that, Gabriel left because the band was getting too commercial, but that's where he went with his sound too. And he had a string of rather commercially accessible albums himself that I still loved, but
yeah,
everybody was going, music follows a trend, and they were all going in that direction.
Well, it took a while. And his first 4 albums were still pretty experimental, but they had some. And when I say commercial, though, for Peter Gabriel, it was still interesting. It wasn't like just a formula. It had pop sensibilities and it had pop songwriting in a way, but there was something uniquely intriguing about it that made it like still quality music, at least.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Even Sledgehammer, which is probably his most commercial single, has some very interesting things going on in that song that you'll never hear on some vapid bent like Taylor Swift or something.
What's funny is I saw Peter Gabriel before, about 6 months before Sledgehammer. Saw him in Dayton at an arena that holds maybe 5,000, and there was probably 2,000 to 3,000 people there. and it was a great show. And then 6 months later, Sledgehammer comes out. He comes to Cincinnati. It's sold out in 5 minutes. I didn't go to that one, but
Yeah.
that's how quick he became popular. There wasn't hardly anybody in Dayton.
Yeah, but he had some really good hits before them, like Salisbury Hill and
oh yeah.
In Your Eyes was
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, he had catchy tunes that people still hear today.
Okay, here we are at My Baby. The funny thing is, I'll put the album on, and I'm usually fairly disciplined about not skipping tracks, especially on a needle,
Mm-hmm.
But man, I usually, at least half the time, I break down and I'm just like, screw it. I'm going to the song number 3 on side A. And wow, this song, like, it was really upsetting to hear them sort of diss their own musical creation, because this song is a masterpiece.
I don't know if you can take some of the commentary as, like, shall we say, what they really feel about that song, because I think some of the members in their conflicts and arguments with each other probably had some favorites. And there's something where I think Fifth of Firth could really be thought of as a great song where some of the members, because of whatever other feelings, have to say it's not as great because they got some emotional issues there about, other things.
Yeah, but this is Tony Banks talking about his own lyrics. So, I mean, he wrote most of them. I think there were some additional lyrics by Rutherford, but no, this was the guy. And, I don't know, maybe it was a phase. We all go through music phases, even when we're just listening.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think the song is absolutely one of the greatest masterpieces in rock history.
Yep. The piano at the beginning is like so recognizable, and actually when you start hearing it, I'm feeling like, I'm expecting Meatloaf to come out or something.
And then
it's got that show presence to it.
And some of Phil Collins's best drumming, where he really lets loose and shows his chops here too. Like all of his, basically, what would you call his fusion and progressive rock chops, which are harder to play than straight rock and roll.
Yeah, with the tempo, time changes, the meter changes.
Yeah. He's doing polyrhythms. He's integrating rudiments across the kit. He is doing, how would you say, implied metric modulation. He's going off from one fill to another without coming back, and he's keeping time the whole way through. I mean, this is as good as it gets here. And if you hear this song and then you listen to him on one of his singles, you won't even think that's the same drummer.
Yeah, I'm listening to it now, and the drumming is clear and a pristine recording, and interesting. You could listen to the drums on their own and kind of like focus on them and find plenty of interest in just that track in and of itself, following the music and basically outlining the metric patterns and putting fills in just the right places, just the right amount of time, not overly busy, but not empty either. And certainly not like generic patterns. It's almost like it was composed for the piece.
He's playing the separate rhythm on the ride bell than he is on the ride edge, and with the same stick, and he's, going back and forth, making a polyrhythm there. His snare hand, very subtle, tasty ghost notes on that thing. And he's just on fire. Everybody is on fire on this song.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the song, its name has references to the Firth River, which is in Scotland. And a firth is basically an estuary. And so it's almost like a play on words from the Firth of the Forth, which would be the estuary of the Forth River, and kind of like a reference. The whole song is about change over time and just kind of like the river that our lives are as we continually go through life, and there's bends and changes and the flow changes and everything. And but I guess it eventually leads to the ocean. So that's the reference there, but I guess it's a play on words of saying the fifth of Firth instead of the Firth of Forth.
Yeah, it's a nice little sort of, I guess, a pun or, like you said, a play on words.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire song has, aquatic Neptunian themes as you go through the lyrics. It references, the god Neptune and the sirens and the water nymphs, and very. If I was to go declaring myself king because some watery tot threw a sword at me, they'd put me away.
Yes, a moistened bink.
Bint. Yes.
Bint. Oh, okay.
Yeah, some moistened bint. Or you can't go. Yeah, you can't go around claiming you're king because some watery tot threw a sword at you.
So there's no such word as bink.
Bint. B-I-N-T.
Okay. All right.
I think it is. It means what it sounds.
Okay.
So it's one of those UK expressions.
Yeah. Oh, I always thought he said bink there, but it's bint.
No, bent. Just imagine there's a CH in there somewhere. And
all righty. Well, did I get to? Yeah, I got to the description here. I'm looking at the stream in another tab, and it kind of paused for me there. Don't look ahead. Keep it where you are. Now, the flute solo is coming up right now, played by Peter. Now, I could hear that he's kind of like a high school flutist who, took up the hobby and can play all right, but it's not Ian Anderson. But for what the composition asked for, it's played well, recorded accurately, and everything. And
well, Ian Anderson only took up the flute when he started the band because he said he didn't want to be just another rhythm guitarist. So it's not like he had been playing it his whole life either. I mean, I admire his dedication and he has some great stuff. But and you know how it is. Once you know one woodwind, it's not that hard to transition to some of the others.
No, but you got to keep up that air support. Flute is rough. No resistance.
100% rough.
Yeah. And I don't even know why they call it a woodwind because there's no damn reed on the thing, but they forgot to call and ask my opinion on the whole thing. So go figure.
Well, you can either use wood with your wind or just wind.
Yeah. Well, it certainly wasn't a traditional, brass instrument. So
yeah.
There's no narrow aperture and there's no bell. So,
but it is one of the earliest, I think, of all of them because getting a vibration through like a split airstream, like blowing over a bottle or on the flute, basically a hole, it's getting that angle just right. That's probably one of the earliest forms of making sound musically.
Yeah,
because it's probably a very early discovery.
Yeah. It's like a seashell. Again, I think the lyrics of this song are just very evocative. The last couplet is the sands of time were eroded by the river of constant change, which is sort of a meta reference on itself that the sands who do the eroding are themselves eroded. And
yeah, I'm hearing Hackett's weed solo right now.
Adam Gray, he makes his own wind.
Adam Gray, what's happening, man?
Yes. Yes.
Now as the river dissolves in sea, so Neptune has claimed another soul. Just I don't know. I think the lyrics are very impressive and go extremely well with the song.
Yeah,
and
Agreed.
I used to just hang out on the couch listening to the song on endless repeat and just sort of imagining.
Yeah, this guitar solo.
Oh yeah.
And the bends and stuff in that, man. It's definitely composed out. It was probably improvised at some point, but you got to really, at that point, repeat it because it's become a theme now that's important for that song.
Now, I'm not sure undinal itself is actually a word, but the undines were the Greek water nymphs who would marry mortal men, and they would kill them if they were ever unfaithful. The Greeks and their mythology, some weirdness, but so they weren't the sirens themselves. They were more like mermaids who, if they fell in love with the mortal men, they could leave the sea and live on the land.
Yep.
So it says the undinal songs urge the sailors on till lured by the siren's cry, which,
all that good, British Isle lore.
Yeah, it's funny because many people confuse the sirens with the undines, but they were two separate groups of water creatures.
Mm-hmm.
One wanted to marry man and the other wanted to eat them. So,
Well,
or drown them at the very least.
But anyway, so excellent piece of music, folks. Definitely take advantage of the link pinned at the top. Play yourself some Firth of Fifth. I keep getting it wrong because I know the backstory. I keep wanting to say.
And of course, no Amazon affiliate link is in the description, unfortunately.
Yes, she's trying to get me to do the Amazon partnership, and I guess I will. It's just I've been having other things to do. And
yeah, I know.
But I got to get to that.
To it, though.
Yeah. I mean, it'll make a much bigger difference down the road if you, for now.
Little by little plopping it in.
Yeah, it's easy to skip things, that you might make 7 cents off of, right? But when it starts to be real money, get a little more motivated. So,
well, as Liza found out, one of her followers did click on a link, checked out the preamp, but ended up buying dog food, and she got a commission on that.
Oh wow!
Yeah. That's how the affiliate links work. If somebody makes a purchase during a session that you caused them to make on Amazon, you get paid, and so that's why I'm saying, indie artists, please. I mean, we all go to Amazon. It's a tough economy.
Yes.
We got. I mean, you can get what you need there, in as far as vitamins.
Yes, we are dancing with the Moonlight Amazonian king.
It's important to note here that if you go to one of those coupon sites, it will hijack your affiliate link, and the coupon company will get the commission and not the affiliate.
Sacrilege!
In fact, there was a big scandal with a company that got a ton of influencers to recommend their site in their YouTube videos, and they found out that their own affiliate links were being hijacked by the company they were sponsoring. And it was I think it's Upper Echelon did a big thing on that. A couple other guys, you can look it up, but it was a pretty we're talking on a scale that meant, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That is dirty. That is so dirty.
So make sure Liza gets your commission.
Well, you need those SNH green stamps.
That's right.
Well, I mean, it's if you're going to make a purchase of something, And somebody that you follow, an artist you follow on YouTube, happens to recommend, it's like, hey, I got affiliate link for that. It is a way that you can support an artist without spending
it's
money that you
definitely
want
fine. Yeah, it's definitely fine. I'm just mentioning it.
Yeah, it doesn't
just having
cost you
fun with
anything
our
else.
topic, and it's definitely fine, especially since I wouldn't put anything up unless I thought that product was good, or I have it myself.
Stuff that
and going with albums is usually an easy way to go, because I know these albums, and
I just want to make sure your links don't get hijacked unknowingly, because that's
no, I haven't made any deals with any coupon company or whatever. I mean, I just recommend products that I've bought and I use, from Amazon.
Now, Phil wasn't bald then, but he was singing on
This
More
is
Fool
AI.
Me.
What did you do?
You said it before I did.
Why ask?
The company was called Honey, by the way. So,
oh, thank you. I've heard of them. I'm glad that I've never used them.
Yeah, they even made a browser extension that would go in your browser and permanently hijack all of your affiliate links.
Yuck. No.
And Honey is owned by PayPal. So.
Oh, how dirty is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't capitalize Rutherford, so please.
Oops.
Overlook that. Music by Mike Rutherford, and the lyrics and vocals were by Phil Collins. So a lot of times when Phil Collins' adoption of becoming lead vocalist in the band, a lot of times when people talk about it, they talk like it was his first time doing it. It's like, no. Actually, it wasn't. He had recorded lead vocals with the same band, a couple albums before.
Wait, is this the song that's a minute long, or is that side B? There's a song on there that's like a minute.
Well, let me check. I have the times right here. This is No More Fool Me, and it is... Oh, it doesn't show it there. Let me see. I could find it here somewhere.
Well,
it is
probably
short.
Yeah, probably on side A, though, if it was a palette cleanser between songs.
No, it's a 3:11.
Okay. Yeah, it's Isle of Plenty is 1 minute 33 seconds.
Oh, yeah, that's the closer. Yep.
Yeah.
But no, this is still short, 3 minutes. It was, like a palate cleanser. Yeah, that's how it's often described. Just lovey-dovey kind of lyrics of someone, I guess, who's a little bit naively in love and all that. And Phil does that well. He plays that part well. Okay, and we move on here. Now, this is a weird one. The Battle of Epping Forest.
Yeah, isn't that about gangs?
Yeah. British gangs, and these would be of the organized crime variety, which I guess was kind of popular in the 70s. Everyone was doing it. They were trying to become mobsters and mob bosses. And
yeah, this isn't a song, it's a novella. Like, this is long, like the song's long, but there's a lot of instrumental breaks on Firth of Fifth. On this thing, it's nonstop.
Yeah, it's Peter telling his story. Well, it's really basically based on mobsters and a story about it in the newspaper that he read. And basically, he just made up some mobster names, some of them based on real world mobsters, but basically some of the British crime syndicates, and they're fighting over dominance in Epping Forest, basically doing a callback to, early British literature, and this being a forested area outside of London. It was a great choice. And basically it was all these protection rackets fighting over power. We own this neighborhood, or we own Epping Forest. And so it's really a story set to music and kind of like based on some real world stuff, but the whole story itself was meant to be like a farce of organized criminals getting into fights in Epping Forest.
every good band has their song about organized crime or criminals, like, if you think about it,
Chicago adopted
it. Yeah. Yeah. Even Michael Jackson had Smooth Criminal. Come on, man.
Oh, yes. And Dirty Diana. But wait a minute. What was that one? That one song we said, the lyrics go, "The child is not mine." Is that Dirty Diana or?
The Michael Jackson song?
Yeah.
It's on Off the Wall, isn't it?
Billie Jean? Are you talking about
Billie Jean? Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. We used to joke about that one.
Yeah, Billie Jean. Yeah. That the child's not mine.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
never in my 5 decades of knowing about Michael Jackson did I ever consider for a second that he might have a kid.
Well, who was that Paris? Doesn't he have like a Paris Jackson?
Yeah. I know he did, but like I said, I didn't consider it. He just did.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Okay.
that,
All right.
So back then, if it comes out on the album, we're just like, yeah, sure it is. Yeah, it's yours.
All right.
More AI? What's
Yes,
this?
that was supposed to be Steve Hackett. After the Ordeal, an instrumental by Steve Hackett. And yes, there was a bit of a disagreement about including it or not. And basically, Hackett compromised in the length of, what is it? One of the other songs on the album that he felt could have been shorter. And by agreeing to put in the full length of that, it was basically what allowed him to be able to have this song on, period. Strange how these negotiations go. But
yeah, it is the number 2 killer of bands throughout history. I'm glad they were able to reach a compromise sometime.
Yeah, the Cinema Show. That's the one that they were talking about. Not the Battle for Epping Forest. It was the Cinema Show that was, I guess, Hackett felt was a little too long. And
in case you're wondering what the number 1 killer of bands is, that would be Yoko Ono.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
All right. But it's a nice, pretty instrumental. I don't know why anyone would have a problem of having it there, unless you felt that there wasn't enough time, but there obviously was. So I don't know.
Well, they were limited to the amount of time they could put on each side of an album. So
yeah, but obviously this didn't ruin that.
Well, we don't know. Gabriel might have had something else in mind.
Yeah, you never know.
Maybe that's why that last song is only a minute.
Yeah, could be. But who's this Gabriel guy?
Oh, another typo, huh?
Yeah.
Well, this After the Ordeal, though, I'm listening to it now, has this kind of classical, green Sleevian type of sound to it. It's pretty.
It's hacking on acoustic.
Yeah, I'm not sure the movement to digital and having unlimited time for your music did them any favors. I think it's another case of having real world physical restrictions sort of inspires and forces you to be more creative.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, maybe he didn't like the classical aspect of it.
Well, Tony Banks was on it, and the piano is the major thing there other than guitar, and he was one of the proponents for not including it. But they compromised on the other song, The Cinema Show, which we're getting to next.
Right. Yeah.
And basically they went ahead with the full-length version of this. Hackett went along with that, and so he was allowed to keep his song. So it was like the decision ended up adding to the length in 2 areas rather than just one. Didn't seem like anything that the argument. It just would have shortened everything overall. But anyway, here we go. Because it would have shortened the cinema show. Yeah, of course it's AI. What do you think?
Well, I was looking at the like half-crocked backward hand.
Yeah,
that's what tipped me off.
Oh, this is some ancient Roman art.
No. By stable diffusion.
I love the internet because there's Tony Banks saying, I never disliked after the ordeal. I've never said anything negative about it publicly. I never had a problem with that. And then in another thing, then another interview, you can hear him say it has that pseudo classical, it has that pseudo classical pretentiousness that I hate. So I do understand a lot of times, like when you interview somebody, they don't even remember what was going on at the time. That's why contemporary sources, are most relied upon and important. So he said, in one instance, he said, I never had a problem with after the ordeal. In another interview, he goes, it's a nice enough piece when Steve wrote it, but it put this pseudo classical piano on it that I don't like.
Well, maybe the one interview where he said he never had a problem with it was before the interview where he did have a problem.
Yeah.
So he was being honest at the time, but then he discovered a problem he was not aware of before.
He does, and also say, even songs I don't like, I don't mind hearing because it takes me back to the time when we wrote them. So, maybe he just had a bug up his ass during the studio time. Who knows? But
why do the people who fund these artists allow them to go on to these shows and trash their own work?
Well, I think this interview is 30 years after the fact. Nobody gives a shit, but
I mean, why would you go on and trash your a piece you were you were a part of, you helped to create? You don't have to come on and say that everything you do is a masterpiece or anything, but I mean, have some respect for your colleagues and for what you were creating at the time. And there are people out there who may like your work and you're just insulting them. Why would you do that? It's like with Harrison Ford and
Mr. Grouch. Maybe Hackett was actually in the room with him during the interview where he said he never had a problem with it. Well, like I said, just knowing that Banks doesn't like his own song for the Fifth, it never stopped me from, never made me like it any less. In fact, it caused me to defend it more. So,
okay.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But I do know myself at my age, man, I don't remember half the stuff that was going on when somebody asked me about it. I might give you a fairly definitive answer that could change the next week because I remember a different part of what happened or.
I think it's especially disrespectful to the audience, not just your colleagues.
I don't disagree, but that's why historians rely on contemporary sources first and foremost, and not other historical accounts when they're trying to figure out what happened, because there's nothing like the accounts that were written at the time of the event. So.
Right.
Very good. So we will then move on to say that, what is it? The first half is a modern, somewhat cynical take on Romeo and Juliet.
Isn't the play itself cynical enough? Like, what the hell, man? Like, they both end up offing themselves. That is, you don't really get more cynical than that. I don't understand.
Well, I guess modernizing it can be done in a cynical way of, I don't know. It's hard to tell because, to be honest with you, I hear the lyrics and I can kind of understand them and stuff, but I'm not exactly sure what they're saying. It's hard for me to really derive a lot of meaning from it, but it's like I can hear some characters in this overall thing doing stuff, and it sounds kind of interesting, but it doesn't really come into a story so much. I think it's meant to be more of like an impressionistic thing where you just get ideas or something from what's being said, and not really so much the story, or the meaning kind of makes itself, in other words.
Yeah, and that assumes you're understanding the lyrics correctly. I get at least, half of mine wrong, unless I'm actually reading the liner notes, right?
Yeah.
And do you know who Elizabeth Fraser is?
No.
She was the singer for a band called the Cocteau Twins, and she gets around. She did some work with Massive Attack. She sort of sings and sounds that only sound like English words, but she's just sort of, it's really a sort of a goth version of scatting. It's just nonsense syllables, but you can hear real words. It's just none of it makes sense. It's like I am the walrus.
But I guess for me, it's like Fifth of Firth does it, and it rises above the Battle for Epping Forest, as well as this one, the cinema show. That, it's hard for me to, I guess, I don't know. When you're hearing such songs on the same album, I think you do have a bit of one kind of losing out, where it's like, but I've just heard this, and now you want me to hear this, and it's like I'm not as interested, I guess, in the subject matter, at least.
I'm not talking about the linens.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not talking about the linens, but I don't want to go mine. The name of the song is Moving In. I'm not talking about moving in, but I swear
I'm moving out.
I'm much more interested in how he's dealing with the linens than where he's going to live. I got to tell you.
Mm-hmm. I hear Liza coming through the door, but not on the screen.
Oh, no.
There she is.
Talking to Joser here. He just came in. What is it, Michael?
Okay. All right. So, anything you'd like to say about this song, Mike, or did we miss any songs that you had some strong feelings on? I guess overall, you're just saying cool album, and
no, it's a great song.
About it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, well, the whole album is good, I think.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, it would require me to get my drunk ass off the couch and flip the album around, and I'm still listening to Firth, so I didn't it is a really good song, but like I said, man, when you have that one that you treat the rest of the album unfairly.
That's so funny you say flip the album. I hadn't even really thought about that. I just think back to the day when, oh shit, I gotta somebody get up and flip the album over, or whatever.
Well,
do you have drunk to do it?
Do you have a turntable that will actually move the arm back and start over again?
Yeah, I did, but
okay.
I also, for those who don't know, I used to drink a lot, so locomotion, ambulating used to be somewhat problematic for me.
I used to sit on top of mine because I had one of them console, the cabinet ones.
Yeah.
And I'd be sitting on top, maybe smoking some funny substance. And you have to get up and open the top and reset it. But
you sat on the actual turntable?
It was a cabinet.
Oh, okay. Oh, and the turntable
console. Remember the consoles and big consoles had the speaker, everything all in one?
Yeah, we used to refer to them as the hi-fi, but my turntable was sticking up.
Well, there was some hi-fi going on, yeah.
Yeah, I could sit on either side, but I couldn't sit on where the record was playing. So
there's also reference in the second half of the song to a Father Tiresias, apparently a Greek myth. At least that's what I read.
Elliot.
And it was referenced, this myth which was its own thing, was referenced in the poem The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. Father Tiresias is in this second half, something like having experienced some of his life as a woman and then having a different perspective after sort of being in women's shoes, so to speak.
We get a lot of that these days.
Yeah, but this goes back to like Greek mythology.
Yeah.
And
Which
Greek
there's
life
a lot of on
wasn't
the
great
album.
for women.
Yeah, there's a lot of mixture of Celtic and Greek mythology on the whole album.
And then finally, our Isle of Plenty, play on words with the spelling of Isle as ISLE, referring to the British Isles, but then referencing commercialism and the aisles in a department store, as represented by AI here, which can get pretty crowded, them shelves. But this is the song that is about like a minute long and just has Peter Gabriel announcing kind of different interesting word usements. I guess I could say, basically announcing different bargain prices and stuff like that. And if you can understand some of them.
Tiresias was also a pivotal figure in the Odyssey and Oedipus Rex and Antigone. He was Odysseus's guide in the Odyssey. So I mean, not a minor, but more of a major figure in sort of Greek mythology and literature. But yes, he struck a snake with his staff, and the gods changed his sex for 7 years. So he had his dual experiences as both a man and a woman.
Very interesting.
Didn't know about that mythology. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. What would be the Greek myth? The name of the myth itself. If there is one, I don't know.
Well, I guess it would just be the myth of Tiresias. He was he was known as the blind prophet of Thebes. He's quasi-historical, literary, and mythological. So,
kind of like Trismegistus.
Well, he may he's supposedly his mother was a sea nymph, so it's unlikely he was a historical figure. But
you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Those nymphs can be crafty.
And I know the Greek gods had got their freak on plenty of times. So,
well, we are at 8:38, so we still have some time here before B-sides. Any interesting parting thoughts about selling England by the pound?
I wish we could. I so wish we could play little bits, but
I guess we could. I mean,
I don't want to take a risk.
What all I'd have to do is trim it out afterwards. It pretty much automatically, it would just be like the video would disappear for a little bit and then come back once it's trimmed. The whole thing is, if I'm just going to trim it out later, it would only be for the people that are listening right now. But we could also do finger sync and basically press play at the same time.
I think it's interesting that even back in the 70s, there were those in England that were, dissatisfied with the foreign influence in their country. It does remind you that there's really nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
Yep. Very true.
I guess it was really a style of commercialism because, I mean, it's hard to say that, like some innocent, naive British businesses had Americans influencing them the wrong way or something.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. The Europeans invented banking. It's not like, yeah. So a lot of what they got from us, we got from them first. Yeah, I like the interpretation that it's more of a lamenting of the loss of British folk culture.
Yeah.
Which, continues to happen. And I'm glad we have things like this, to remind us, and that we, we still have at least for now, we still have, literature from all the time periods to describe what life was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what music does.
Yeah. And we still have physical media that can't be altered without our knowledge or permission. So.
And folk culture is coming back in very interesting ways, I think, around the world. And with things like YouTube, we're able to check in on that.
Precisely right. Yeah.
I think it's fascinating. I mean, there are bands all over the world that are using, folk instruments in, I think, respectful ways, but yet modern ways, progressive ways. And I, for one, I think it's really bitching. I think talk about, and I mean, not underscoring the great music that we, grew up with. It was great, but man, there is a lot of great music out there now. People just ain't hearing it. They're hearing Taylor Swift. Bullshit like that.
And there are musical instruments I've never heard of, and not just the weird ones, like the saw or whatever, but
good God,
things like the hurdy-gurdy that I didn't learn until in my 30s. I don't even think I ever knew what it was, and when I first saw one, I'm like, "What in the world is that thing?"
Well, thanks to George Harrison, I got into the Indian instruments. Early on, but thanks to Gabriel Marin, I've got into all kinds of world instruments. So, and now I'm recreating some of them myself. Thanks to Miss Psyche Opera there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you give me too much credit, Mike.
There's a percussionist
that's not
named
bullshit. Lawrence said, "Well, my wife makes these cigar box guitars, and next thing I know, I'm getting one. Next thing I know, I'm making shit." So and some of it's shit. But hey, lately I've been taking some of my shit and turning it into something playable. So now I just trying to find time to play them.
Yeah, and drums was a way for me to sort of learn around the world. There's a percussionist named Glenn Velez who kind of can play anything, and he would come up with these really obscure instruments from across the globe, and then it reminded me, I think every musician has their Bulgarian monk chanting phase. I think mine was in the early 90s when I learned about that. It is, it is interesting, the access that YouTube gives us on the world, but you have to go look for it because they're not going to show it to you.
Agreed. Yeah.
But it's out there for people who are looking. Yeah. And there's a lot of us who are not plugged into the mainstream, who are looking for something real all the time. And so,
and sometimes it's something old. I mean, a guy
artists are being found.
Yeah. And a guy I was talking to recently was talking about, you should check out, if you're into Indian music, the Bauls, Bauls of Bengal. And it's just like traveling minstrels that play, these folk instruments, and they're not really a religion, but it's kind of a combination. They're all like mystics. And it's some pretty wild stuff. I'm not something I want to listen to all the time, but
I still think the hurdy-gurdy was a bagpipes had sex with an accordion, and then it got run over by a Model T.
Didn't the hurdy-gurdy win the Medieval Instruments Challenge on Earworms?
I believe it did over a year ago. Swappers is not here, but
Oh,
that's a hurdy-gurdy.
There you go. Well, you were ready in case he showed up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I got StreamYard all loaded up with what I need. Fortunately, that Black Friday deal made it more affordable than EVMux. So
there you go. Well, it seems to be working fine, other than, nobody knew at the beginning, but
yeah.
other than that.
No,
but I mean, I didn't have any technical problems getting in. I just was waiting.
Yeah. No, that was my fault. Need to put everyone on stage.
Yeah, we all know now. But what I'm saying is, there was no. I loaded up my avatar, and no problem.
And it's easier for me to see the videos I need to trigger. Going into slide mode isn't difficult at all, and I can have people come on or leave, and the screen adjusts accordingly. So, yeah, it'll basically work out better until they decide to make it too expensive again or something like that.
I haven't noticed any lag either.
No.
Yeah. We've had some issues with lag before in the past. Have you had any issues with Liza? You've had issues with her in the past with EVMux.
Not now, but she doesn't have her set up all together yet. She's still recovering from a computer problem. Tomorrow, I mean, she has a working Windows machine for work right now, but other than that, she's going Linux with me, and so we're going to get her new system together starting tomorrow.
Cool. Well, everybody sounds good.
Yeah. Well, our friends at B-Sides, which includes that Adam Gray who just visited us, will be starting up in about, it looks like 12 minutes, is it? So we'll be going off air right about the time they start, and I'll drop a link there for people to join them. It looks like we might continue doing this time slot a little bit. I know it's going to be a little bit before anybody gets used to it being here. Right. And I guess it might be a little bit doing that, but I do like doing like albums like this. And if anything, we might put that on some Sunday nights too. But right now we're in such a roll with some of these sci-fi series that we're doing Sunday night, and the Brown audience staying for it. I'd kind of like, what we're going to do for the next few weeks is we got Genesis of the Daleks this Sunday, part 4, 5, and 6. Mike, I'll be able to send you a link if you want to check it out. It's up to you. But it's great music from a classic Doctor Who episode with Tom Baker as the Doctor, and Dudley Simpson does the music, a great meshing of the synthesis and chamber music. But that'll be this weekend. Then we have Something Undefined, and then on the 21st we have Mike Gorley doing his birthday stream, where there'll be some new things to show us, both musically and instrument wise, I believe. Mm-hmm. Is that correct,
possibly,
Mike?
Yes, it is possible.
It's possible.
I'm not exactly sure at this point. I really haven't got much commitment out of people, but
I mean, as far as things you can control, you could definitely show us some of your new music and
absolutely,
the new instruments that you've made. You've only shown that on Liza's stream, so the 21st will be your birthday stream, no matter what.
Bash.
But it might have some guest artists appearing if
I'm hoping,
if their schedules permit.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 days before Christmas, so people have things they're doing and whatnot. But hopefully, maybe I get one or two.
Yeah,
we'll make it fun.
Oh we'll have fun either way, one way or the other.
At some point, Lawrence, you know what I was just thinking? We should have a battle of sci-fi show themes.
A tournament.
A tournament. Star Trek, Star Wars, Babylon 5.
That sounds like a great idea.
It does.
Maybe we can do that the following week after Genesis of the Daleks.
Yes.
Basically, like
Doctor
Space
Who,
1999, some of that
Yes.
70s vibe, Buck
Yes.
Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something happened to my mic. The same thing happened on Jill's stream earlier today. I randomly switched over to a different microphone, and it took me a minute to realize nobody could hear me.
Oh,
Well,
yikes.
You don't know what caused it?
No, it's just all of a sudden it went from my microphone to the default, thing that nothing's plugged into. But I was asking, when's our next Babylon 5? I'm having kind of withdrawals already.
Oh, wow.
Me too.
I don't know. I think maybe we could do that. We only have 2 more shows before Christmas because we have the 14th and the 21st.
But
so
maybe
this Sunday's the 7th. We're finishing Genesis of the Daleks. 14th is open. We could do Babylon 5. And the 21st is Mike Gorley's birthday stream.
Phobos, maybe we could get our fix during the sci-fi theme song battle. Because Babylon 5 has 3 themes. And so it has 3
Well, we could do Babylon 5 the 14th, and on the 28th, after Mike's stream, we could do a tournament of sci-fi theme songs.
Yes.
There you go.
We must.
Well, and more recent.
And we'll talk about like who the writers were and some background info. Because, like, for example, one of them that'll be on there is Star Trek TOS, and what's his name? Frontier Alexander Courage. I knew it was one of those things. Adventure, Frontier. What is it? No, Alexander Courage. It somehow lost some of his credits and stuff on that when it happened because of the Arnezes taking stuff, or no, it wasn't them. It was credit taken by the founder himself, Roddenberry. Yeah.
Oh, that's rude.
Yeah.
That's dirty.
Yeah. Robot gave us some tidbits on that in the past. But anyway,
Alexander Courage is pretty much immortal, though.
So more recent here. Next Friday, are you doing any particular King Crimson album?
Well, the first one is In the Hall of the Mountain King, right?
In the
Court of the Crimson
King.
In the court. I'm sorry, I did the.
Yeah, you
I did the original that they were probably referencing.
Isn't that the Eric Burden song?
Isn't that by Emerson, Lake and Palmer?
Well, Greg Lake is on it, but
no, I mean like ELP did a lot of references to In the Hall of the Mountain King.
Oh, yeah.
When I hear that, I think "Spill the Wine," the Eric Burden and War song. You know the one I'm speaking of?
No.
Well, I'm down for in the Court of the Crimson King.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be great.
Yeah, it's a lyric about a hippie who basically falls asleep when he's tripping, and he wakes up in this. He wakes up in the Hall of the Mountain King, where a beautiful woman comes up to him and offers him wine. Spill the wine, take that girl.
Eric Burden, yeah.
So whenever I hear Hall of the Mountain King, that's where I go, or some traffic song.
Yeah, I think it was Modest Mussorgsky who composed.
Modest Mussorgsky, yes.
Yeah.
Who also composed Pictures at an Exhibition.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Another Emerson, Lake and Palmer favorite.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I speaking of things you're enamored with, after hearing Emerson, Lake and Palmer do that, I remember running down the library and I got every version of that I could possibly get. And one of my favorites was a guy, and I'll never pronounce his name, but it's probably from the 70s, but it was a Japanese guy on classical guitar only doing that whole piece. incredible.
All righty. Well, I believe we are going to be winding down now. I think our futures are planned. And we're going to recommend that folks go to B-Sides. If we continue to do the Friday time slot, I'll set up a raid eventually. But right now, I could just put the link in the description for their upcoming stream. Check out B-Sides.
Yes.
Not sure.
Let's go raid them.
Exactly.
Well,
excuse
hi,
me.
Scott.
Man.
Welcome back.
Blessings. Yeah, let me see. What are they doing tonight here?
Wasn't Hall of the Mountain King ELO and not ELP?
I mean,
yeah, no, ELP was Court of the, Pictures in an Exhibition.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Hall of the Mountain King.
Which we should do that album sometime in the future.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at what they're doing. Yeah, it just says Modesty Blares.
That's Mazorsky.
No, I'm talking about B-Sides. They're doing Modesty Blaze.
Modesty Blaze?
Or is it Blase?
No, it's Blaze. It's,
Modesty Blaze.
Oh, I didn't even realize that was public domain. That's she's sort of like early female action hero.
Before Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, / femme fatale. She was yeah, she's like it's sort of a spy thriller kind of femme fatale thing.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's it's somewhat tongue in cheek. It's a little bit in the satire realm.
Well, it better be. It's on B-Sides.
Yeah, no, but I mean, no, this should be a pretty fun movie. There was like a comic strip and everything, and so yeah, I think Terrence Stamp is in that film. It's from the 60s. All
right. Well, folks,
I guess what I was saying, it seems more like a legit movie than you usually see on B-Sides.
Okay. Well, you'll have to click the link to get there. It won't transfer you automatically, but please check out our friends at B-Sides coming up next. All right. Anybody have final thoughts? Otherwise, I'm going to be closing the stream now. But yeah, please leave a comment. Yeah, if you're hearing us after the fact, please leave a comment. Let us know. We're still experimenting with this, seeing if we're going to be able to continue to do some Fridays. I don't really need extra work to do, but, I'll do it if it really helps the channel out and if there's an audience for it. So otherwise, our regular gig is Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, right after Mr. Brown Alliance's musings. All right. I guess that's it. Mike said goodbye. It's the Phobos is just
bye, chat.
emanating goodbye. So, all right. And that'll be it for this evening, folks. So thank you all for joining us, and check out B-Sides coming up. And I'm hitting the end button.